You could not have written this. Not because it was too good, because it was too complicated, too human, too full of the kind of detail that fiction editors cut because real life is not supposed to work this way. A 39-year-old man scoring his first ever World Cup knockout goal, being substituted before the match was won, watching from the bench as someone else scored the goal that kept his final World Cup alive. Portugal beat Croatia 2-1 at BMO Field in Toronto, and by the end of this video, you will understand why this match was not just a result. It was a story that the 2026 World Cup will be defined by long after the trophy has been lifted. Start with what was at stake before a ball was kicked. Cristiano Ronaldo had played in World Cup knockout matches before, many of them. He had scored in World Cups before, plenty of times, but in knockout matches specifically, the round of 16 and beyond, the games that actually decide whether you go home or go further, Ronaldo had never scored. Not once across a career that has produced more international goals than any player in history. Across a World Cup record spanning more than 2 decades. Going into the Croatia match, that statistic was following him like a shadow. Croatia took the lead through Ivan Perisic in the second half, a left-footed strike that silenced the Portuguese supporters inside the stadium and seemed to confirm every worry about a Portugal side that had not looked convincing through their group stage. Ronaldo had been largely quiet, the familiar frustrations of a striker asking for service that was not arriving consistently. And then came the penalty. VAR reviewed a foul on Renato Veiga in the box. The decision came, Portugal had a penalty, and Ronaldo stepped forward. There are moments in sport that carry the weight of everything that came before them. Journalist Raphael Honigstein has written about the way certain penalty kicks transcend the immediate match and become statements about an entire career. This was one of those kicks. The 68th minute, a knockout match. The goal that Ronaldo had been waiting his entire World Cup career to score. He scored it. Calmly, precisely, into the corner. The celebration was not the usual Ronaldo theatrics. It was something quieter. Something that looked less like triumph and more like relief. Like a weight being put down after years of carrying it. But the story did not end there. It got more complicated. Portugal coach Roberto Martinez substituted Ronaldo in the second half, brought on Ruben Neves. The decision made tactical sense. Portugal needed fresh legs and midfield control, but the image of Ronaldo walking off the pitch while the match was still level at 1-1, while his final World Cup knockout game was still undecided, was one of the defining images of the tournament. He sat on the bench, and then, in stoppage time, Rafael Leão drove down the left wing and crossed into the box. Gonçalo Ramos, the super sub who many had argued should be starting ahead of Ronaldo, rose and headed the ball into the net. Portugal 2-1 Croatia. The bench erupted. Ronaldo celebrated, but the complexity of that celebration was visible. The man who had finally scored in a World Cup knockout match had been on the bench when the match was actually won. The man many felt should replace him had scored the winning goal. Sports psychologist Guy Jordet has written about the psychology of legendary athletes in their final competitive phase. The tension between individual legacy and team success. The moment when a player who has defined their career through personal achievement must reconcile that with watching someone else provide the decisive contribution. Ronaldo reconciled it. He embraced Ramos. He celebrated with his teammates. But the story that the 2026 World Cup has delivered in this single match is almost too rich to process in real time. He scored his first knockout goal, he was substituted, his replacement scored the winner, and Portugal advanced to face Spain. You could not have written this, and the 2026 World Cup has only just started delivering the stories that nobody had the imagination to predict.